Will Michael Pittman Jr. be suspended for a full year? Total speculation at this point, but the rumors are spreading around like wildfire. We're here to break down whether it's even Michael Pittman Jr. that's in the middle of all this, because if you've been living under a rock for the last hour, the Colts potentially could be in some trouble. Here's this report right here, and then we're going to kick off the intro, take your phone calls in a little bit. But the sportshandle.com is reporting that an unnamed Colts player is under investigation for wagering activities, and the rumor is that it's Michael Pittman. Why? I'll break it all down. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So, breaking news, it happened kind of at the end of our show, or I don't know, maybe like 10 minutes before, 30 minutes before we ended. I don't even know. The last show, but we thought we'd come by, do a new compartmentalized video on this topic because it needs its own video. It needs its own addressing. It needs its own speculation, phone calls, you name it. So file on in, get your questions answered, whether they're relating to this topic or another. But this news right here, and ESPN's even reporting this right now, the NFL is investigating an unnamed Colts player for possible violations of the league's gambling policy. And there's a lot of speculation that it is this man right here, Michael Pittman Jr. Now, why might this be the case? Well, it was interesting that the Colts signed veteran free agent wide receiver Breshad Perriman and waived Tyler Adams. Bringing in a wide receiver is obviously, I think, the beginnings of the speculative piece to this. Where it all originated was the signing of a wide receiver. And sometimes teams have a little bit of a head start and a lead on something like this. And then you look back in retrospect and say to yourself, oh, that's why they signed that guy. Bama dropping a $20 hauler, initiating the first super chat wattage. And by the way, I got a little special something for Bama. We've got the new money machine back, the Make It Rain machine. It is back, and Bama is going to be the first individual to get to try it out, because no one dropped the $20 hauler on the last stream we just did an hour ago. Bama is the first. And let me tell you something. This thing, we had to dial it back. My brother put a battery on the back of this. I had my brother Jimmy rig this on the back of it that was so powerful for this little device here. It burned the motor out within a couple, I don't know, it was like a week or two. And so we had to dial back the wattage a little bit. We recycled some of the power over to a light and power supply. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got lights. We've got lights, camera, action. We got a $20 hauler by Bama. Let's go.
Alert. Super chat alert.
$20 super chat. $20 super chat.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Bama to the moon says, sup Smitty, let's get this kicked off the right way. Hit the thumbs up, people, on the way in the door. Bama knows how to throw a party. He got the first ever money machine. Money, what are we calling this thing? What do you guys want to call this thing? It looks like it came straight from Back to the Future. Looks like it has a Nintendo motherboard here. It's got a motherboard on top, believe it or not, with an oscillating component here that regulates the mega component timekeeper. And then on the top, it's got lighting. Lighting, ladies and gentlemen. Lighting. This bad boy is fully ready to go. And it is available per $20 super chat if you want to throw one out. What do we call it? Okay, so let's get back to this real quick and just say that is there any news at all that supports that this is Michael Pittman? it's going to be suspended. Do we even know if a player is going to be suspended a full year? Do we even know if a player bet on the NFL games, or is this another situation where Jameson Williams, he was using the gambling apps on facility, maybe he was a couple feet on facility, maybe he was on the bus. We don't know what happened, but Jameson Williams was using gaming apps and betting on sports, not football. Maybe it was college basketball, maybe it was NBA, maybe it was something else not related to football, obviously, or college football. But I don't believe it was football at all for Jameson Williams. But because he was betting on facility, he was suspended 6 games. We don't know. We have no idea if someone's going to be suspended for like 6 games for betting on sports, violating the policy, not on football, but betting on sports on facilities. Then it's just another 6-game suspension for whatever player this is. If this player is betting on football, then it's a whole nother thing, and we're going to see a year-long suspension minimum for the next player. And I wouldn't be shocked if the NFL started taking a harder line stance on this to stop this recurring theme. But it's rumored to be Michael Pittman. There are a bunch of people, I think, just saying that because the Colts did sign a wide receiver. They brought in Richardson ADP, but I think that we're making a leap there. I think we need to stay kind of where we're at and kind of hold until we know more information. But there are a lot of people speculating. Rodgers, cornerback. There are a lot of people speculating different things, but we have no concrete information whatsoever to go on yet. So let's hang tight. I've got my Twitter feeds, all my alerts refreshing every single moment. The comments are going crazy on the ESPN post. If you look at ESPN on Twitter, you'll see that this post right here, the comments are going crazy. The first one you see is this Michael Pittman, okay? And it's a meme. It's somebody creating a meme, people spreading that rumor. Other people said the Richardson ADP signing is awfully coincidental. You got Leonardo DiCaprio getting involved, going. We've got all kinds of Twitter comments. Never lose. They're always undefeated, And I do scroll through these, and you see all kinds of memes that have Colts wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. is the guy. It's Pittman. It's Pittman. It's Michael Pittman. Look at the comments all over the place. It's Pittman. It's Pittman. It's Michael Pittman. It's a cornerback. It's a defensive player. It's Michael Pittman. It's the GM. Pittman is cooked. JT, AR-15, Jonathan Taylor, bye-bye. Everybody is, rumor has it, is Taylor. Everyone and their mother's got an opinion and a meme to go along with it. And it looks like Isaiah Rodgers is one of the players potentially involved. Maybe involved, maybe not. Maybe this is a bad report. This report coming from, and you don't even know. You can't even click some of these to find the breadcrumbs to make sure it's not somebody doctoring up something. So everybody hang tight, sit back, relax. And let's see, Bama, did somebody gift memberships? I gotta put the stream on my iPad so I can make sure I check out those YouTube exclusive memberships. So hang tight while I dial this up and get the iPad going. Fire up the iPad. There we go. Okay, doing it live. We got gifted memberships rolling in. We got 10 gifted memberships from Bama, dropping a 10 spot on the channel here.
To the moon.
Bama to the moon, dropping 10 gifted memberships. Where's my gifted memberships? Those should be firing off right here. I'm sorry I hadn't had that prepared yet. Let's take some phone calls too if you guys want to discuss what your speculation is for this. What do you anticipate to happen? What is your guess? Phone lines are open. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
JT in trouble. See, even our own chat is just completely guessing at this point. AR suspended, JT in trouble. These are our own people. Everyone's got an opinion. Rodgers, some say it's Rodgers. ESPN said it's Rodgers. I'll refresh, and maybe that news is rolling in right now. Yeah, it looks like Rodgers is. 1 minute ago, ESPN just posted this bad boy right here. It is cornerback Isaiah Rodgers, And this might not be it. There might be more. We have to just wait. Remember the Jameson Williams situation? That ended up unfolding in a way that there was multiple people, and we didn't have all the information right away. So we have to be careful not to assume that this is it. Colts, Isaiah Rodgers, cornerback, for possible betting. NFL is probing, just probing at this point. Probing. We don't even know if anything's going to come of this. This could be an early knee-jerk reaction. And let's go to that report and have it read here from ESPN. Here we go. This dropped 2 minutes ago. 2 minutes ago, ESPN.com. This is the report. Get ready. It's reading right. Hold on. Here we go. Okay.
Indianapolis. The NFL is investigating an Indianapolis Colts player for possible violations of the league's gambling policy. The team acknowledged the inquiry Monday, saying in a statement, "We are aware of the NFL's investigation and will have no further comment at this time." Multiple sources familiar with the investigation confirmed to ESPN that the player in question is Colts cornerback and kick returner Isaiah Rodgers. Rodgers, a sixth-round pick, is entering the final year of a 4-year, $3.4 million contract. The sportsbook account was opened under the name of an associate of Rodgers, the sources said. Approximately 100 bets were placed on the account over an undisclosed amount of time, including on Colts games, the sources said. Most of the bets were in the $25 to $50 range, although there was at least one low four-figure bet. Calls from ESPN to Rodgers and his agent were not immediately returned, and the Colts declined to expand on the team's original statement. The news comes after a report by SportsHandle.com, which cited an investigation into a Colts player's pervasive betting, including wagers placed on his own team. The player was not named in the report, nor did team officials reveal his identity.
So before I play the remainder of this, and it's not much longer, so there was betting on Colts games tied to the account that was created, which is bad news. Bad news. And let's hope this gets cleared up. What happened to Pittman? No, the rumor was that it was Pittman on this live stream. It broke that it was the Colts cornerback Isaiah. But I don't know if there's more to it. Hold on, let's let it read further. Yeah, so it did end up being cornerback Isaiah Rodgers. Here's the rest of the report, and then we'll move on.
An NFL spokesperson, when asked by ESPN for comment on the report, said in a text message that they had nothing to add. The Indiana Gaming Commission confirmed to ESPN that it had received information pertaining to this matter and was following developments. The IGC is not the lead agency on this matter, as it involves alleged violations of a league policy at this point. Jenny Resk, deputy director at the Indiana Gaming Commission, wrote in an emailed statement to ESPN, "We will, however, continue to review information as it emerges to determine what, if any, regulatory actions are necessary." In April, the NFL suspended 5 players, including 4 from the Detroit Lions for gambling policy violations. Lions receiver Quintez Cephas and safety C.J. Moore, as well as Washington Commanders defensive end Shaka Toney, were suspended indefinitely for betting on NFL games. Lions receivers Jameson Williams and Stanley Berryhill received 6-game suspensions for betting on non-NFL games from an NFL facility. Cephas, Moore and Berryhill were later released by Detroit. Last year, then Atlanta Falcons receiver Calvin Ridley was suspended for the entire 2022 season for
It's almost done.
Last
sentence.
Over a 5-game stretch when he was away from the team. He was traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars at the trading deadline last November and reinstated in March. Although the NFL has widely embraced sports betting and has sponsorship deals with sportsbooks, the league explicitly prohibits players from betting on NFL games. Players are also prohibited from placing bets while at NFL facilities.
So, for anybody that's just joining, it's not Michael Pittman. There are a bunch of reports and rumors out there. This isn't me spreading rumors and some people coming in here saying put some respect on Pittman's name. Definitely needs to be put some respect on his name. He's not out there doing that yet. We don't know if there's more players, but it sounds like there's one player, Isaiah Rodgers, and Isaiah Rodgers is the only player that potentially is in this situation. So hang tight to find out if there are any more players, but it sounds like to me he's going to be donezo for at least the season. So definitely, hang tight on overreacting on any Pittman news. The Pittman rumors, I'm telling you, came from the signing of Perriman. When they signed Brashad Perriman, it triggered fear everywhere on Twitter, and then people just started spreading rumors left and right. So Pittman is probably in the clear, pal. Okay, so relax. Anybody that has Pittman, don't worry about it. Scorp says Pittman wasn't involved. That's what we just said. Scorp. Pay attention, Scorp. Appreciate you being here. It's not AR. It's not JT. A lot of rumors circulating. It is Isaiah Rodgers. Okay, let's open the phone lines.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Rodgers is donezo. Pittman is in the clear. And good topic would be Pittman fantasy value while we're on the topic. Where do we see Pittman? I think he's kind of overvalued. No offense, Pittman. I know you just went through a whole little ordeal here where the whole world thought you were suspended for gambling on football, and you weren't. You're innocent, and the masses condemned you without even knowing what was going on. You were innocent, my friend, but I don't know that you're going to be an elite fantasy football wide receiver too. You got to change the title. I have to change anything, Scott. Number one, Scott, it's a question mark, and the rumors are out there, so this topic needs to be had. Not to mention the news broke in the middle of the live stream when the live stream was already launched. Scott, the launching of the live stream was off of the rumors that were circulating. So I am here to defend his honor. And if you go back and rewatch the beginning of the live stream, I said these are rumors. There's no evidence for it. They're unsubstantiated, and there's a question mark in the title, Scott. There's a question mark in the thumbnail, Scott. Scott. Anyway, phone lines are open. Dial in. Scott, you're welcome to call in too. But I love when people don't pay attention to the details. The details. My little image here. My little image here says Pittman suspension coming? Question mark. No, we come on here to shoot things down, Scott. You get a 1-year suspension, Scott. No, Scott, we'll leave Scott alone. Scott, you can stay. I like Scott, but respect Pittman. Put some respect on Pittman's name. That's why we're here, Scott. That's why we're here. Smitty, thoughts on Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson for Dynasty? I like Anthony Richardson more than Bryce Young right now for fantasy because of his running upside. His running upside is massive. It's massive. I just want to thank again Bama, who dropped 10 gifted memberships and also dropped a $20 hauler to start off the show. We also have a super chatter, Matthew. Matthew, you still here? Matthew, taking Pittman at the 1.1, doing it live. Hopefully not. You know, honestly, if you drop Pittman into a rookie-only draft, let's really evaluate how much we like Pittman for 2023 now that he's been cleared. Now that his name has been cleared. Pittman's not going to be facing a suspension, okay? Pittman is not. Pittman's fine. News broke in the middle of our breaking the rumor of Pittman probably not being true. News broke that is cornerback Isaiah Rodgers. But my question for you is, if, let's say Pittman was dropped, who is going to play 2023, he's not in trouble. If Pittman was dropped and entered into a rookie-only draft, where would you rank him? Where would you place him? And you know what, Scott, I'm just kind of messing with you. I am going to probably fix up the graphic and change it. Pittman suspension not coming. How's that? Pittman not coming. No Pittman suspension. How's that, Scott? No Pittman suspension. Let's move this graphic around a little bit. I'll put no in front now that we know, because we didn't know. We were going off of the rumors, and we came in here and defended his honor like Karate Kid. You know, like the song fight for your honor. We fought for Pittman's honor right from the jump, okay, when this live stream started. So let's just put that out there. Okay, Pittman, let's change this graphic up. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to put this graphic on screen. If we threw Pittman into a rookie-only draft, where are you drafting him? Where are you drafting him? I have maybe 1% Pittman in the 250 best ball drafts. I don't think I have one share. Why even put this in the title? Because this is what was spreading around like wildfire, and your boy Smitty questioned it. Your boy Smitty put a question mark, bro. It's not a bad title at all. AR still trash for his receivers this season. I don't know. AR is going to score so many points on the ground. He's a running quarterback, and there's going to be so many points to be had in terms of all that, pal. So I'm excited about him. I think AR-15. He's being drafted as a top 10 quarterback, and I think top 10 to 12 is definitely arguable. But my question is, if he was cut into a rookie-only draft, where are you drafting him? I would like you guys to answer that for me. I'd like to know where you're drafting Pittman. Young dropping a super chat. Howell or Richardson is my QB2. I'd definitely go Richardson. Howell is more of a sleeper. Howell's going in double-digit rounds. Richardson's going as a top 10 to 12 quarterback. So they are not close. They really are not close. Doesn't mean Howell can't surprise and become that kind of guy. Okay, no Pittman suspension. How's that? How's that, Scott? We're going to actually fix that because I do want it to be, correct. But when I posted that title, there was nothing wrong with it. Pittman, no Pittman suspension. No Pittman suspension. I'm still waiting for a phone call. No Pittman suspension. Okay. I guess if I had to say, like if Michael Pittman was thrown into a rookie-only draft, I'm drafting, obviously, Bijan, Gibbs, JSN, Quentin Johnston probably. Well, yeah, Quentin Johnston probably. Well, I guess in redraft it would be close because Quentin Johnston may not play, elite football for a while. Bama's on the line. Bama, what do you think about all this?
I'm questioning a little bit because I'm hoping Pittman's not involved because I do have some shares in him. But
yeah, he doesn't seem to be involved at this point.
Right.
The speculation was off the back of them bringing in a wide receiver. So the fact that Pittman isn't named in this initial ESPN report, I'm not concerned about it. I don't think Pittman's involved at all. And I'm fixing the graphic as we speak. But, at the time of going live, he was the person everybody was talking about. And I came in and I started off the show immediately saying, we have no facts that it's Michael Pittman other than the fact that they signed a wide receiver. That's it.
They got to have something to get everybody talking about it.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you. I've drafted a couple times here lately in Underdog, and I've got Alexander Madison and Dalvin Cook just in case Dalvin does stay. Have you got anything like that, or do you suggest that, or what's your thoughts on it?
Say that one more time.
About getting Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison.
Well, I don't think they'll be on the same team. And okay. So that could open up the door to two potential starting running backs. Then again, I think there could be a situation where Dalvin Cook stays, but I don't think so. Right now, it feels very, very much like Dalvin Cook is going to get released. The only thing is the Vikings are trying to generate some trade interest. Maybe before they cut him, there was some initiated trade interest by the Miami Dolphins, and so that made the Vikings kind of hesitate to cut him. So he definitely is looking like he's potentially gonna be cut, but it's just one of those things that we're waiting to hear if anybody. The reason you'd have a team come in like the Miami Dolphins and say, "Hey, don't cut him. We can get him for free." They'd have to pay him, but we could get him for free, is if they felt there was going to be competition. You know, like let's say he didn't want to necessarily go to Miami as his first choice, but you know, he'd play there if they traded for him. They may trade for him to eliminate the competition. You know, say, hey, we don't care about a 4th or 5th rounder. You could give a 4th or 5th rounder. You could give a 5th rounder easily, 6th rounder. It could be whatever you want, really, because the Vikings are going to get nothing if they just cut him. So it makes sense for them to pause, wait, and if the Dolphins say, look, this could be a difference maker for us, and if we let him hit the market, we may not get him. Let's just do it. Let's just throw and Miami Mike he throws caution to the wind. Miami Mike will throw down a pick and say, I don't care about that. Let's bring him in. Who cares about a late pick? I want to have myself the most dynamic running back room in the league. Not that Cook would make his running back room the most dynamic, but in his mind, he might feel that way. And he loves his running backs. I don't know. I just don't know that if Cook landed in Miami, he'd start right away. You know, but I'd certainly be excited if he ever got an opportunity in that offense to start games. But it depends. If you're asking me, should you have both Pittman and Madison? If you're looking to cuff, you're better off getting McBride and Madison. That's probably the better angle. McBride is a fumbling problem that I'm concerned about, but he's got amazing ability. So I definitely would for sure cuff McBride to Alexander Madison. But Alexander Madison's exciting. You know, if you can get him in the 7th, where are you going to get it? Where have you been drafting him? 7th round, roughly?
I think Madison, I'm looking it up now. I think I got Madison in the 8th round, I believe, last night.
Yeah, 8th round. That's really good value. That could be your running back 3-4. You know, that's fantastic value. I like that a lot, Alexander Madison. But I will say that if like Swift was there, I'd rather have Swift over Madison slightly. Maybe not in every situation, but would I rather have Pacheco over Madison? Yeah, probably. And then I'd do the same thing. I'd cuff the heck out of that. I'd get McKinnon. I wouldn't even hesitate to get McKinnon. That would be a must. You have to have McKinnon if you're going to draft Pacheco. But Madison and McBride, Pacheco, McKinnon, Swift, and you could go Penny and Swift depending on the cost of Penny. Those are all like really decent. You go zero, you go one running back in the first 5 rounds, and then you come back around and you scoop up a couple of these guys in these situations. You take a Charbonnet with a Pacheco and McKinnon. You take a Charbonnet with the Madison and McBride. And McBride you can get at the very end of the draft. I don't even think he gets drafted in 18-round drafts, like period. So you can literally get him in like the 17th or 18th round, McBride. And maybe he's not the backup, but he probably will be at some point. You know, it's kind of a tricky situation there in Minnesota. All right, Bama, hang tight real quick. Don't jump off the line yet. Matt Biaggia, what say you, pal?
What's up, Smitty? Hey, we don't know if this was this gambling happened at the facility yet or not.
We don't have any information other than it just was released. We literally started this live stream. The presumption was that it was Michael Pittman by a majority of Twitter. And as I said at the jump, we had no proof of that other than that the Colts signed a wide receiver, Brashard Perriman. And that triggered a lot of people to panic that this team was making a preemptive move before the news broke. And this happens all the time. Keep in mind, just to defend people that were thinking this, keep in mind, when Larry Fitzgerald was suspended, that news came after the Hollywood Brown trade. You know? So right. there was reason to believe on good logic that the signing of Perriman might have been some kind of like drastic, we got to get another wide receiver.
And I think that there is a cause to pause because if you look at what happened to the Lions, they had, 3 guys suspended for half the season, and then you got the receiver. So if this happened in the facility, there could be possibly more players. So I might be a little worried about drafting Colts right now until we know for sure.
Yeah, it's weird how they're doing this like in waves of teams. Like you got to wonder, What's so weird to me is that the NFL is even taking action, like when they'll just bury everything else. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I can't really wrap my head around why they're calling themselves out here and pointing the fingers on topics like this. But then when something like Kamara's situation happens, they just brush it under the rug.
Because they're talking about the gambling, and I think there's obviously we know that they worry more about gambling. They suspended Ridley, obviously, for a year. They don't. I mean, unfortunately, that's how it is for the NFL.
Right, but what I'm saying is
probably one of the worst thing you can do.
Right, which I understand. They want to keep the game pure, so they don't have they don't want anything to get tainted. But what I'm saying is, it seems to me they would be more apt to let this stay under the rug until it was coming out, and then throw down some harsh punishment. But to me, it's crazy that the NFL is literally telling on themselves in a sense.
But don't the suspensions kind of come out all together at a certain time?
Bro,
soon?
The NFL makes no sense in terms of consistency. We have no clue what they're thinking, when they're thinking it. It's just, to me, it's like the NFL, they're more, in my opinion, they'd be more likely to figure out a way to not make this public and to like move around it. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, I still would be worried though, because if it's just a bunch of guys in the locker room and they're throw 25, something.
Well,
like
no, but I will say you cannot bet on the NFL. You cannot bet on the NFL.
I know, and you hear McAfee talk about it. It is posted everywhere. So if you're doing that kind of stuff, even the facility, there's like, the Lions had 5-6 guys.
Yeah, I don't get why a player would even mess around with it. Like, why would you even? What would make you think? And according to this report here, let me have this reread it. I'm gonna have it reread real quickly. Ron, do you mind holding real quick while I have this read? I'm gonna have the computer read something real quickly. So I'm trying to find the part where it was at. There is a source here. Okay, it was an account that was made it. Okay, here it was. Here's the part I want to have reread. Because this is this specific situation.
Multiple sources familiar with the investigation confirmed to ESPN that the player in question is Colts cornerback and kick returner Isaiah Rodgers. Rodgers, a 6th-round pick, is entering the final year of a 4-year, $3.4 million contract. The sportsbook account was opened under the name of an associate of Rodgers, the sources said. Approximately 100 bets were placed on the account over an undisclosed amount of time, including on Colts games, the sources said. Most of the bets were in the $25 to $50 range, although there was at least one low 4-figure bet.
So this is what's crazy is like.
So it doesn't sound like it was in the facility, so that's good. Maybe the Colts guys are good.
But it sounds unrelated to like a bunch of, it doesn't seem like the same as the Detroit situation, but it's like you have your associate open up an account. Like, first of all, the NFL's digging deep, right? If they're going to the buddies of the player, they're like, okay, who are his top 5 buddies? Like he's got a buddy named Bob that hasn't had a job since 2010. His entourage that just feeds off him. But it's like, was an IP address, like the reason that they caught this, did he create an account, an associate of him create an account, and it was on his IP address because his buddy is allowed to bet.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So like if his associate opened the account and it is his associate's account, part of me wonders if the only reason this is being probed is because it was done like at Pittman's address, like using his IP address or something. Like, it's crazy when you think about it. Like, how deep can you go? Can your cousin not bet on sports? Like his cousin, he might not talk to his cousin. So we'll have to see where this goes. It's just being probed. He has not been handed a suspension yet, and who knows what it leads to. Marsman Ron is on the line. Marsman Ron, do you have something you want to add to this topic or something new?
Yeah. Suspend the whole team. They forfeit the whole season. Guilty by association.
That sounds like Ron.
Let Kamara go and kill somebody almost, but nothing happened. But yeah, I think the whole team should be suspended by guilty association for betting.
Get off Ron's lawn. Get off it.
Of course, I'm just exaggerating, of course, but
no,
that's what it feels like the NFL is. It's like, oh, betting. Oh my God! All right, we're going to suspend the whole team for betting, but Kamara, hey, next time go out and murder that guy.
But hey,
make sure you finish the job. Sweep it under the rug.
You know what I would say though, that this guy's the 20 to 25. What was the amount of money? It was $25. It was $25. Most of the bets were $25 to $50 bets on the Colts. That sounds like I'm just being honest. My gut instinct is this sounds like a fanboy, like cousin, associate, buddy that's betting on his boy and saying, Pittman's going to go out. My guy's going to go out there and win this week. I'm going to put $25 on it. I don't know that Rodgers would be telling his associate, hey, throw $25 on the Colts. We're going to win this one. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't sound like if you're going to bet on your own games, you're betting substantial amounts of money. You're not betting $25 that you're going to win the game. To win less than 25 after the rake. Like, come on. So part of me thinks that this probing will maybe even exonerate Isaiah Rodgers, to be honest. But my gut instinct is this is not a big deal. And the NFL's calling it out. That's what I don't understand. I'm not saying they shouldn't. Understand what I'm saying. You got to keep the integrity of the league together. I get it. You should be suspended for the whole year if you gamble on sport. I don't care if you drop $1 on the Colts or any football game. You should be suspended a full year because you are not supposed to bet on sports when you play in the sport. It goes without saying. And it's dumb. These guys are dumb when they do it. But if he's betting on it, he's betting big money. There's no way he's dropping $25 on his Colts to win. It's his buddy. It's his buddy doing it. Now, the question is, did he use his buddy's credit card? Like, why is he being tied to his associate? How do they know? It's got to be by IP address. It's at Pittman's home, whatever. His home, his internet connection. They can tell this is from his IP, whatever. Or he used his credit card because he's mooching off him because this is his entourage, his associate, they said. Quote-unquote associate, is mooching off him. Can I have your credit card? What do you need it for? Don't worry about it.
The NFL is just a front for the NSA, so they can just surveillance everybody.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, this is going to be a nothing burger.
Over surveillance.
I could smell it from a mile away. This is probably going to be a nothing burger, unless the report's wrong about the amount of money that was dropped. If it's more than $25 to $30, then it's certainly going to be something big. But why would the NFL not? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't. It doesn't make sense why the NFL would call these things out when they're in the business of covering things up. Like, I just don't understand them. I don't understand the NFL at all. And Tony, the Tiger attorney, he put it beautifully. Heavy hand 1 minute, non-heavy hand the next. They're gonna go after Josh Gordon and ruin his career over and over and over. Like Josh Gordon, that poor guy could have been amazing, and they just absolutely destroyed his career. Yet Kamara just walks the streets. Kamara go on like the NFL has a right to suspend Kamara for the entire season for Kamara being there representing the NFL in Vegas during the Pro Bowl week, pretty much wearing his, badge, like I'm with the NFL badge, essentially, around his neck, you could say, representing the league at the Pro Bowl, at hotels, walking around. You're on the clock, off the clock. If any of you were invited to go guest speak for your company, let's say at some expo, to even if it's further education, let's say, any one of you in your workplace, field of work, was invited to go to a enhancement work, improvement, whatever, training, and you go to Vegas representing your company, even if you were off the clock, the seminar's over, but your company sent you to Vegas and you're walking around the hotel room, you're representing your company still, even if you're not on the clock necessarily. You're on a trip. And if you went out and beat a man into the ground like Kamara did, the NFL has every right to say, innocent till proven guilty. What you did, we have on video, and we're going to not only suspend you, but kick you out of the league. The NFL doesn't care. And that's why I draft Alvin Kamara every single time that he's available in round 8, 9, 10, because it's a home run. Because the NFL ain't going to do anything about it. And even though this man Kamara's on the Uranus list.
And off he goes to the planet.
Now, if that same person if it would have been Martha instead of John getting his ass beat, Kamara would have gotten punishment for that one.
I mean, who knows? I don't even know if that's true, Ron. I don't know what the NFL is capable of doing. I can't predict the NFL.
Oh, well, if it's a female, they're definitely going to, because
we don't
they
know.
Can't afford that bad.
We don't know.
It was a guy.
The NFL's capable of anything. Honestly, I'd feel stupid coming in here saying I know what they're going to do about anything. I feel like I'm just reckless, running my mouth. I can't
believe Travis called me a commie.
All right. Ricky Williams was the GOAT, says Crab. The magnet gloves thing is wild. What is everybody saying in the chat here? If Aaron Rodgers was betting on his Colts, he probably lost. What does it say? He probably lost. What did you say? Lost a bunch. Okay. Ray Rice, yeah. Ray Rice definitely got, But the NFL, keep in mind, the NFL came back on Ray Rice, gave him a short punishment. They screwed the pooch on that. They come back and redo the punishment because they didn't do a good job. They didn't do a good job at all. The NFL is horrible. The NFL is horribly inconsistent with handing down punishment, and it's awful. And then Roger Goodell hands over things to people to his side. You do this. I want to make you the appointee instead of doing his job. Deshaun Watson. Letting Deshaun Watson return to football for a matchup against the Houston Texans. Does anybody not see that this is all concocted, planned out, corrupt? Like, he literally I'm gonna let Deshaun Watson come back, and ironically, the schedule's already been done. Ironically, he's gonna play the Houston Texans. Unbelievable. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. The NFL up to its old tricks. Real quick, Ron. Let me cycle around here. We got Matt Biaggia or Bama. Let's go to Bama real quick. Bama, did you have anything you want to add?
Were you talking to me? Or
Bama. Anything you want to add? Any player you want to talk about? Doesn't have to be about these topics. It could be about whatever you want.
I want to know your exposure. I want to hear Ron Navy's exposure, like your guys' top 5 on Underdog. And I have a theory for Ron and I. Probably not for you, except for your Moonmen. But let's everybody look at their exposure.
My exposure on Underdog would be
for Swift.
Yeah, Swift's gonna he's gonna definitely be up there for sure. I got on the current batch of, let's see. Oh no, let's go from the big board. The big board, I had Charbonnet and Gibbs as my top 2 exposures. Aaron Rodgers is up there. I had a lot of Sean Tucker too back in the time frame where we thought Sean Tucker was not was going to pass his physicals and all that. That was unraveling. Kamara's in the top 7, 8. Watson's in the top 10. Jordan Love is really high. I got a lot of Joe Burrow. So I'd say Joe Burrow, Kamara, Watson, Gibbs, Charbonnet, Rodgers. And that's on the early big board exposure. The manias and the poodles, the poodle twos and the puppies. That exposure I have Kamara, Tank Dell, Charbonnet. Whoever has got the show in the background, if you could turn that down. Burrow, Swift, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kincaid, Deuce Vaughn, Chris Olave. Those are my top exposures. And that's for the batch of drafts we're doing right now. I have Burrow in so many leagues. I have a feeling that once these leagues complete, because I don't know if it includes him yet, Burrow will jump to maybe 1 or 2 because Burrow's going around 4 and 5, and I'm scooping him up in every single draft. So my number 1 exposure will be Joe Burrow by the end of all this.
Yeah, it's only completed right now for your exposure.
Yeah, so by the time this is done, it will be Joe Burrow number 1.
I'm saying Rod Navy's got more Steelers, and I'll say I have more Browns. Let's hear it, Ron.
My actual top exposure is Zach Charbonnet.
Okay, that's not bad. He's up there for me also.
His value's
Camaro's
great.
2 for me.
My second highest exposure is Jordan Addison.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Let's go.
My third is Najee Harris.
There he is.
Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Najee. Of course I got Najee.
Yeah, I like Chubb.
All right, give me your exposure real quick, Bam, and then I'm going to jump over to Matt Biaggia.
Christian Watson.
Yeah, I've got several Swift. I think my number 1 is Sky Moore, Jameson Williams, and Kamara. I think.
Is this Bama? Is this Bama?
Yeah, it's Bama.
Okay, first of all, Biaggia.
Yeah.
Biaggia, don't take this the wrong way, but you're in timeout for 5 minutes. I called on Bama, and you interrupted Bama and just started talking. And so this whole time I thought I was talking to Bama when he was called upon.
No. You called out. You wait a second. I mean, you called Biaggia first. You said no. Let's go over to Bama first, and then you said hello. Nobody talking. So I stepped in and started talking.
Oh, okay. I'm so close.
I'll take the timeout.
No.
I'll take a 5 minutes.
No. We'll leave you there, Biaggia.
He doesn't deserve it. Doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, but not everybody.
Steelers fans sticking up for
Ron,
me.
people get handed punishments they don't deserve all the time. It's par for the course. It's it's cost of doing business. All right, Biaggia, we'll leave you there. Bama, go ahead.
Just wrong.
Yeah, I've got Sky Moore, Jameson Williams, Swift, and I know we were arguing about Swift here a few days, about a week or so back, but yeah, I've got a lot of him.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. Who's your number 1? You said
Sky Moore.
Sky Moore, and I have a lot of. That's funny you say that. I just looked at that. He's in my top 10 exposure on my early drafts, and I have very low exposure on the current slate of, so when you look at the most recent drafts, the puppies and all that, because he's definitely fallen as Tony's risen up, but I think he's good value now because he's falling. All the Tony hype has made him very, very cost effective, so you can grab him very late.
Yeah, I'm getting him at the very end of the draft. I reckon that's the reason I got so much of him.
And if you cuff him to Tony, if you get Tony, like let's say you get him at 7 or wherever. Right. I've taken Tony really high, and I've taken Tony like in the 7th round. It just kind of depends on the flow. It's weird because some of my drafts, the draft slots really, really screw you. I have a team where Tony's I believe he's my 8th player. And I love this team. And then I got another team where I had to take him a little early because I went running back, quarterback. And so I'm scooping up wide receivers. He's my wide receiver 2. And, he looks, the team looks a little risky, but with the team where he's my 3rd wide receiver, it's like, wow. And then I cuff him to Sky Moore. But Tony and Sky Moore together are fantastic. Tony, for people that don't know, hang tight, callers. For people that don't know, Tony is a moon man.
The moon man, dropping loads in outer space.
Tony is a moon man. Cuff him to Sky, but he has cracked the moon man list.
Space Monsters.
And, high risk, high reward is the name of the game. And he's definitely that player. He's the player that's going to get you, get injured and get you nothing, and you're going to scream and bang your fist on the table. Or he's going to finally step up. The difference maker for me and why he's been a satellite man all off season long, and then we lifted Tony up into the big boy table, is because the team has talked about Tony from a very different perspective. So Kadarius Toney is being vaulted up by this organization. They do nothing but talk positively about him. They keep saying words like sky's the limit. He's going to be thrusted into the top spot. ESPN reports, different reports suggesting he could be a wide receiver 1 in fantasy and for the team. There's just a lot of positive buzz going around, and that's really what was needed to really kick him from the satellite men list to the moon man list. But keep in mind, the moon man list is not always about a lock. Like, some of these guys have to be big swings with potential miss, because this is not a game of who's the most obvious player that, we're going to go out there and draft. The moon man list is not this Mr. Safe list. It's a list of players like Pierce looked very risky last year, and he started off awful, and people cut him, and people got scared about Pierce, and he came around. Guys like Jalen Hurts were a 6th, 7th round player that people doubted and said he had no accuracy, and he'd never be an elite quarterback. And even Sirianni and his own coaching staff and team tried to trade for Russell Wilson, not this offseason, but last offseason, when we were saying this guy's going to the moon, Jalen Hurts. So the moon man is going to be a combination of players that are they're going to ruffle some feathers, just like last year. Not everybody's going to agree on them. They're going to be a group of players that have risk, high reward, but they're going to be specifically identified by me as my list of players that have the right combination of win your league at cost of entry, not hurting you or destroying your team. Example, if, let's say, in DeAndre Swift,
the moon man dropping loads in outer space.
Example, DeAndre Swift. Hold on, I gotta.
Space Moon says.
Let me mute this real quick. We got these. Someone dropped some gifted memberships. I'm gonna look at that in 1 second. Who did that? But Swift, if Swift cost anywhere near what he cost last year, which was a 12, 13 turn pick, of course I would be all out. The risk is enormous. But if you can get him in the 7th round, he's got so much potential there. That is home run capable, not league destroying capable if it doesn't work out. Of course, we want all of our predictions to work out. Same thing with Dotson. Dotson is going so late right now. I want to say I got Dotson. Ron, what's the latest you've seen Dotson go?
7-8.
Yeah, I want to say it was the 8th round I got Dotson. And it's so much upside at the cost of entry. Tank Dell, a lot of people saying, why is Tank Dell on here? He's not an absolute stud. That's the point of this list. It's a combination of different guys that are just going to explode. Kincaid, he's going to start out like Walker started out last year, or like Pierce started out last year. He probably could have, he may not, but he could have a really slow start, and people are going to cut him. Mark my words. People are going to jump ship so quickly off Kincaid and say, Smitty, that didn't work out. He's looking like trash. He didn't go out there and do anything in week 1 or maybe even week 2. Kincaid will come along slowly. Tank Dell, he's a big swing, but no risk. No risk. This could be an elite wide receiver 3 in fantasy. I love this Moon Man list. Charbonnet and Walker together as fifth round material. Sometimes this guy Walker, 5th round. It's insane. Charbonnet, one of my highest exposures. Ron's highest exposure. Like, you can own this guy all by himself. Charbonnet's an unbelievable player just to have on your bench, even when you don't own Kenneth Walker. But to get Walker, who still might be a top 5 running back, everybody just assumes he's not going to be a top 5 running back. Maybe Charbonnet comes out of the gate and does nothing. Absolutely nothing. Maybe he gets 1 carry in week 1. Maybe he gets 2 carries in week 2. We have no idea. He could get hurt. Walker in the 5th round is an absolute steal. Moon Man list to the moon.
To the moon.
All right, Biaja or Bama. Let's go back to Bama real quickly. Bama, do you have anything else you want to add in terms of these topics? Any other topic? Hit me with it. Are we going to do this again? Hello? And then Biaja talks, and I put Biaja in timeout.
Hey, I'm sorry, I had it on mute. I was trying to keep all the background noise now.
No problem, Bama. Go ahead.
No, I'm good. I'm just enjoying listening to the show, man.
Hey,
on Underdog right now.
I appreciate you dropping the super chat, supporting the channel. You're the man.
Hey,
Biaja.
no problem, man.
Biaja.
Yeah, I would say my biggest tip for fantasy drafters, for me, is that you just erase the name, and it's about value. You need good value for people. That's why Swift is a good pick this year, Ron, because he's not going to kill your season if he blows up or is bad, if he's a bust, for me. So I try not to be attached, and every year is different. You know, a player that's burned you. Now, I can understand if you hate Swift, Ron, because you drafted him a couple years and he's just off your board. But my biggest tip is the person. Go on.
I look at him and I like him. I was off from last year. Ask Smitty. I said it would be a bust last year.
There's just risk. There's always risk in all of these players, and like Smitty always says, it's if you start compiling a bunch of red flags, then maybe you don't draft the person. But that's what I would say. Love the show, Smitty.
I don't totally agree with you as far as you got to get value or whatever, because I see these guys on all these I watch other sites to see what they're doing, and I'm like, what kind of idiots are you? All the garbage they're putting out, it seems like sometimes, because it's
I heard you, Ron, on Pete Oversets.
They'll take these crap-ass players just because they fall into an ADP range, and it's like, no, I'm getting the player that I want. If I got to go down to get him, and he's the only one, he's the best player that I like, and the 10 players before him, I don't like any of them, I'm taking my player. I ain't selling.
I would assume Smitty probably assumes I like to diversify. I want my exposures to be kind of, because I do so many drafts, I want to be all over the place. So for me,
I agree with you. So like, okay, I want exposures this way. I want exposures where I got Allen and Diggs and some of the Bills, and I got Mahomes and some of the KC guys, and that's how I look at how I want my exposures to go. I want some of T-Law and Jacksonville. I want some of, that's how I look at my exposures. I'm not going to, grab crappy players just because I'm not going to sit there, Sutton's there. I'm going to just let me grab Sutton because he's next on the ADP. No, I'm not drafting Sutton. All right, I'm going down further to find a guy that fits my team that I like.
All right, hang tight real quick.
That's how I draft.
Deckard says third pick Puppy. I have first Chase, second Devontae Smith, available Henry or Jacobs. Well, Deckard, I'm not a Jacobs fan at all. I don't mind Henry in the third round, but there's other players I'd rather have. Like I'd rather take Breece Hall. You got Breece Hall available. I'd rather Breece Hall than Henry, but that's me. I can understand taking Henry in the third round though. There's a lot of risk baked into that value. That's not like taking him in the top 10, and expecting potentially him to miss games. As far as these other players that are here, Breece Hall, Stevenson's not a bad third round player as well, but Jacobs I'm staying clear. I probably, if it was me, I'd probably go Breece Hall, but that's me. And if you have an overexposure of Breece Hall, you could go Stevenson. I wouldn't think that would be a bad pick at all. He's got a lot of upside in the third round. I think it packages in some of that risk, but definitely appreciate the super chat and trust your gut ultimately because you're the one, pulling the trigger. Make sure you keep an eye on Joe Burrow sitting there. You got Jamar Chase already. Don't hesitate on Burrow in round 4, even if you think you could push him to 5. 4 is amazing value, and you're still going to get you still might get a London in round 5. Look at Dotson in round 7, 8. You'll be good. I like this. I like the start so far. I like the start. I think Devontae Smith's a little early in the second round for me. Not that he can't earn that. I certainly think he could earn that, especially if A.J. Dillon misses some time with the knees. I always worry about A.J. Brown with the knees. He's got the bad knees. He's got constant, knee issues in the offseason. I definitely feel like Devontae Smith can flirt with amazing numbers and be easily worth a second round pick in hindsight, but I still like to take him in the third round to get package in a little more value. Aaron dropping a super chat here. I have Flowers and Bateman on the same fantasy team trying to buy Jameson. Let me move this out of the way. I would have to give up my 2025 first with Bateman to go get Jameson Williams. I think it's too high of a price tag. I don't care about Bateman, to be honest with you. And I don't worry about owning Bateman and Flowers. Like that's not something that's going to hold your team back because you have two players on the same team. Redraft's different for people that are in best ball mode right now. Everyone's like, oh, it's good to have them cuffed, but in redraft you're not so much. But I'm not worried about cuffing those two because if Flowers gets hurt, Bateman should do well. And if Bateman is doing well, then you have Flowers there in case, that swap happens later. So I actually don't mind owning, even in redraft, these two guys specifically, the way that you could look at them as like a cuff. Not a best ball move, but a cuff in case one goes down. But I would say also, it's not about, I love Jameson Williams. I just don't know that I'm going to give up a first rounder yet for him because we don't even know what we're getting. He caught one pass last year and he's suspended for the first 6 games of this season. So it's been 2 years. This will be 2 years where there's a huge disappointment. People thinking he was going to come back in the middle of the season. I didn't. I didn't think he was somebody worth even drafting last year. And a lot of people thought, he played 6 games. He caught one pass. He was not. He was not worth grabbing. I like him a lot. I really do. I'm drafting him a lot in best ball, believe it or not, because his value seems pretty good. And in best ball, I think I'll be good through the first 6 weeks. And as long as he, is back to, doing things that we expect him to do by week 7, or he has bye week in week 7, week 8, I think it's a good player to have on your roster. But a first rounder, I don't know. It depends on, I guess, what your entire team would look like and could he help you win. But it's not horrible. It's definitely arguable for sure. Appreciate you, JR. Let's go over to, real quickly, if you guys don't mind, let's go over to Steven. God, he's been quiet on the phone like an angel. This man is a marvel. Steven, I think I yelled at you and read your comment wrong earlier, but let's forget about that.
I was busy. I had to go take an online English course. It was about a half an hour long. And
I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back.
I'll keep working on it.
Okay.
But
what's up?
We were talking about draft strategy, and me personally, now I've been in a redraft league for the better part of a decade now, and I haven't won it. I've finished first or second pretty much every time. But I've found it like what I like to do is I like to stack running backs early and get the best ones you can get. It's for me, a lot of times I'll go 3 running backs. And then my quarterback, and then what I'm looking at the Calvin Ridleys, the Kadarius Tonys, the Michael Pittmans, the man of the hour earlier. Here's a question for you, Smitty. In the 18th season or whatever it was, Matt Ryan's last season with the Colts, would you consider him to be a better overall quarterback by just his knowledge or, not, of course, not his physical skills compared to Anthony Richardson? With all the talent that he has. Now, this is from a passing perspective, not rushing. This is purely passing. Would you expect that you would get more yardage out of Anthony Richardson in year 1 versus Matt Ryan in year 18 overall?
In year 18, Richardson. Matt Ryan's, cheeks at this point.
Okay, so the numbers, 93 catches, 1,169 yards, and 7 TDs, and that was from your boy Pittman. I wouldn't mind having him as a third wide receiver. If we expect Anthony Richardson to be better, those numbers should be better, given, whatever. But those are the kind of home run swings I'm talking about. So and as you guys brought Pittman up, I started thinking about it more. And, with JT and them back there, absolutely. He could definitely be underrated.
Yeah, I mean, I like Pittman in the right value range. Do I like Pittman as my wide receiver 2? Absolutely not. Do I like him as a wide receiver 3, 4? I can get behind it,
Hell
but
yes.
the thing is, Steven, I probably find other players I just like better around his draft slot. So it's not so much about hating Pittman; it's about liking other players better. So he's going at 55 overall. So above him, one spot is Kirk, DJ Moore, McLaurin, Drake London's literally, right in that territory. I'm taking Drake London over Michael Pittman every single time. So it's not about hating Pittman. It's about not feeling like what you're describing, a wide receiver 3, scoop him up. Everybody's underrating him. I feel like he's not being that underrated. I feel like him going 3 or 4 spots below Drake London is crazy. I think Christian Kirk's better than him. I'd much rather have Christian Kirk. Chris Godwin and JSN are below Pittman. Let's see here. Mike Evans is below Pittman. I can understand that if you're predicting complete collapse for Tampa Bay, and I think that's very possible. George Pickens
I completely understand what you're saying, Smitty. The only thing I'm saying is you're taking a chance on Anthony Richardson. If he hits Pittman, rise and water lifts all ships, he will outperform his ADP. I'm just saying, for the way that I look at it, it's one of those home runs.
Yeah, I can understand it.
If I'm not going to finish first in my league, I'd rather finish last.
Look, I don't hate your take.
I want to, and to do that, you have to hit those home runs.
I don't hate your take. I'm just going to take different swings. That's it. That's all I'm saying. But you're not wrong to like Pittman over Kadarius Toney, but I'm taking Kadarius Toney over Pittman every single time. You're not wrong to like Pittman over George Pickens or Jahan Dotson, who are way below Pittman. We're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me put this on screen, actually, because I think this is a really good topic, Stephen, and I'm glad you...
Would you be happy with your second, third, and fourth wide receivers as being, let's say, a Christian Kirk, a Calvin Ridley, Kadarius Toney, and Michael Pittman? I don't think that would be bad at all. I think that would be excellent. That's just my opinion.
But again, I want you to understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying that you can't have this opinion and have a very, very good argument. And I agree that there is some arguments to be made here for what you're saying. But all I'm telling you is that personally for me, when I look at Pittman's ADP and he's sitting there at 56.5, and I'm looking at above him Christian Kirk, Drake London slightly above him, clearly rather have those guys over Pittman. What I'm telling you is I don't think I'm going to own Pittman. I don't think I'm going to have one single share of Pittman across hundreds and hundreds of best ball drafts by the time we're done, because you have JSN, you have Mike Evans, who you could argue whatever you want on that. I get it. Jordan Addison. I know Ron Navy's taking Jordan Addison over Pittman all day long. I'm taking Kadarius Toney. I'm taking George Pickens and Dotson over him. So there's just too many players. And if it's your guy, Steven, if Pittman is your Dotson, if Pittman is your Kadarius Toney, trust your gut. Who cares what I say? Trust your gut and go with it, because absolutely could he bounce back. He was such a highly rated player across the fantasy industry last year, and he crapped the bed hardcore. And I don't think it's, for me, I don't think he's a guarantee of anything. I like him. I don't think he's an elite wide receiver one. He never was in my mind. So when he went in the 3rd and 4th round last year, some people took him in like the late 2nd, top of round 3. It was absolutely asinine. I didn't see it. I don't see it. I still don't see it. I think Josh Downs eventually becomes the number 1. I think that regardless of passing stats, that you're trying to ask me the question of what Richardson's going to do, he's going to do so much more on the ground that maybe he has good passing yardage, but maybe he doesn't throw for a lot of touchdowns, and maybe he runs for 12. I don't really know how Richardson's going to shake out. I do know he's got a cannon. I do know that he's unbelievable. I think he could throw 70 plus yards down the field. He's got one of the biggest cannons in the NFL, and he can throw a nice ball. He threw a couple darts into a small hole on the run in practice, got it on my Instagram, and I think people that are crapping on Richardson's accuracy and that he won't be a good quarterback, this guy's just an absolute specimen of an athlete. And I can't wait to watch him.
Let's say a 12-team or 14-team redraft league, let's say half PPR or whatever. Let's say that you just took everybody and took quarterback, just took it late. You could even have your kicker and your defense. We're not having a kicker this year, thank God. But would you take a chance on, if you're just going to take Anthony Richardson, where would you take him?
I mean, he's getting drafted. When you say take a chance on him, people are drafting him in the top 10, top 12 quarterbacks, Steven. So no one's stealing away Richardson at all. In fact, let me pull up the quarterback ADP and show it to you right now, because he's not somebody you're risking, or I'm sorry, you're taking a flyer on. He's somebody you have to, in most cases, you have to draft Anthony Richardson as your starting quarterback, but you're drafting him, even though you might not use him in week 1, you're drafting a starter ahead of him or behind him, but you're going to play the guy you draft behind him before you play Anthony Richardson, unless you're going to roll the dice in week 1. But that's the strategy people are using. They draft Richardson first, and they draft their starter after, and they go that route. But here's the ADP on quarterbacks. He is quarterback 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He is QB 10 right now. He's above Dak. He's above Tua. He's above Cousins. He's above Danny Dimes. He's just below Watson by 1 spot. He's below Trevor Lawrence by 2 spots.
Yeah, so, if you're going to take him that high, you're just definitely going to have to take somebody later. I get it.
Yeah, you got to draft like a Cousins and him. Smitty. Yeah, but hey, look, Steven, there were great topics. You brought up 2 very, very good topics, and it's what people want to hear. They want to hear these things you just brought up. So I appreciate you coming up with some good topics here. Let's go on over to Scuba Steve, then back to Ron Navy. Scuba Steve.
Hey, man. Smitty, what's going on, man?
What's up, broski?
Hey, before I get into my topic, I guess it's good that Ron Navy's on here because I remember earlier you were talking about the whole Brock Purdy situation, and if that guy's arm really isn't ready to go, then that means that Ron Navy must be loving his chances week 1 against the 49ers because I think that could be an upset.
Bro, if I'll let Ron speak to that in a second here. I will say that if Brock Purdy goes out there not 100%, he's going to get smashed to pieces by that Pittsburgh defense, and Ron will tell you that. And if let's say Trey Lance goes out there without confidence, his confidence could get shattered against the Pittsburgh defense. Now, the Niner defense is going to push back, and the Niner defense is definitely going to try and do the same thing to Kenny Pickett, and so there will be a nice defensive contest that may be low scoring if the Niner quarterback situation isn't buttoned up. But I can tell you this right now, that Brock Purdy better be 100% if they run him out there. My guess is they don't. My guess is they don't want him testing it against the Steeler defense, but we'll see what happens. I would be shocked if Trey Lance started week 1 at this point because it just seems to be going worse and worse and worse for him. It couldn't get worse for Trey Lance. Every single turn is bad luck for him. I just don't know what's going on, but I'll let Ron speak to it briefly. Go ahead, and then we'll go back to Scuba. Go ahead, Ron.
All right.
Yeah, I think, for one thing, first game of the year, they're traveling from the West Coast all the way over. They're going to be jet lagged. I think Pittsburgh wins this game. I don't think it's an upset. I think Pittsburgh's just going to turn a lot of heads this year that people are so down on them. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, it's a biased opinion, but it's a true biased opinion. I mean, that's how
Pittsburgh Steelers are always a pain in the ass to play, especially at home. They always have been, and they always will be.
And the thing is we always win our opening game at home. We hardly ever lose the game at home opening game.
Right. Well, Ron, as you know, I'm a Ravens fan, so whatever. But I will say that I love watching T.J. Watt play. He's one of the best players in football at any position.
Well,
an unbelievable athlete.
Good. Once he got injured, we started losing games because he wasn't in there. So yeah,
I know
Watt's a big part of our team. So. And then what you were saying earlier, I do redrafts. I do differently. I do but best balls differently, especially on Underdog, because you have to have 3 starting wide receivers, and so it's a little different with best ball than it is like in a redraft where, some leagues you got 2 running back, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a flex spot, a tight end, and so my draft looks totally different with a redraft than it does in best ball.
Right. I'm just straight 12-team half PPR. I've got 1 league. That's it.
right.
I don't have the
All
time or the inclination
Hang
to
tight.
deal with rookie
Hang
drafts
tight,
and
Steven.
all this other
Okay,
stuff.
I got to keep it moving, guys. Anthony Richardson, look at this team right here. Anthony Richardson, Jordan Love. This is an example of what you just said, Steven. Can you roll with Anthony Richardson? I got Richardson and Love as my quarterbacks. I went Bijan, Gibbs, Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet. I got Olave, Drake London, Jahan Dotson, Darren Waller, Kincaid. So that's a pretty solid team that goes along with the quarterback, the risky quarterback, high risk, high reward quarterback play.
That's a fact.
Yeah, and this is a
I'm
nice.
surprised you didn't. I'm surprised you went with Jordan Love and didn't get more of a veteran there as your second, like you were talking about before.
I like Jordan Love a lot though, so I'm gonna.
That's your guy.
I think he's gonna
that's
throw.
What we're talking about. That's what makes fantasy football fun and interesting. Is he's your guy. You have him pegged. Nobody else is going to tell you any different, and you're going to draft him.
Yeah. Let's not get carried away.
Is that a complete draft, or is that one you're working on right
That's
now?
the last pick was Jordan Love, so I'm right in the middle of it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's in round.
Okay.
That was my.
So Smitty later on, I can pretty much. He's gonna target Hal.
Yeah, probably would be the next one I would take. Yeah, I'll probably get Nathaniel Dell on this squad. Probably going to get it feels pretty good. This is a really good looking team. I need another tight end because these guys share the same bye week 13. But let's go back over to Scuba.
I love your tight ends, Waller and Kincaid, my man.
Yeah, this is same bye week, but I'll get another one in there. I do think that could thrive. But yeah, Olave, Love, Dotson. Bijan, Gibbs, and Walker Charbonnet. I'm feeling really, really good about this one. Scuba Steve.
Hey man, I didn't know if you talked about this yet because I did come in like an hour late. But Rashad White, some guy from like Fantasy Radio or something. I was just reading the reports. He was saying that he expects that Rashad White's going to be seeing a lot of passes caught his way. Is that something that makes you want to go all in on this guy, or do you think that because of the whole Baker Mayfield thing, you don't really want to go after him?
It's a great question, and I'm going to put this piece of news on screen. It was something I did want to talk about. I was tempted to do a video on it, but I didn't have time today. But here's the news that Scuba is talking about. So yeah, Rashad White speaking on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Buccaneers running back Rashad White himself said he expects a lot of balls to come his way in the passing game. Now, I will say this, Scuba, the difference between a football headed your way and a football headed your way that you can catch are two entirely different things. I've never seen two quarterbacks look more pathetic and pitiful in my entire life than the footage. Consecutive throws by Trask and Baker rotating. These guys look like they were, when you line up a bunch of kids in freshman year in high school and you don't know which one's the quarterback. None of them have played football yet. You line the entire team up and they try and identify four guys that can throw the football even remotely good. They say, everybody throw 4 passes. Everybody throws 4 passes. Get those 5 guys out of line. This looked like 2 guys you would have removed from your freshman year lineup when you're trying to figure out who could throw the football. If you were a freshman coach in high school, you would have ripped both of them from the line and said, you guys are probably playing defense. Get over there in the other line. There's no way these guys are professional quarterbacks. They looked god-awful. They couldn't hit players that were 12 feet from them. It was insane. It was back-to-back. So when you ask me, am I excited about any Tampa Bay player? Right now, no. Could I get excited again? Baker did show some promise in L.A., he did. For a moment in time, he marched his team back, and it was a really nice effort by him. But I just don't think this guy, when you put him in a prominent role, he's going to succeed. I think when his back's against the wall, like Fitzpatrick coming into a game for 3 or 4 games with nothing to lose, I could see Baker, like he did in that Rams situation, coming in and looking somewhat impressive. A defense not prepared for him. He's coming in, no defense is even watching film on him. He comes in, somehow does something. He was impressive in that one game. but Baker looked absolutely awful, and I can't Smitty approve any one of these Tampa Bay players, but maybe Mike Evans, and I don't even know if I'd Smitty approve Godwin, because Godwin's got to get a good football thrown to him. He's a route runner. He's a short yardage. He's a specialist, a reception specialist. And Mike Evans, at least if the football is anywhere in his vicinity, he can go up and jump ball with pretty much any defender that's around him, and he can figure it out. I feel like Evans' ADP is so low too. I'd maybe take the gamble. I don't mind Evans as my fourth wide receiver, and I've done it in Underdog where I've got him as my fourth wide receiver, and I kind of like it. They're going to be down. They're going to be throwing the ball a ton. Evans is the only guy. It may be Godwin if they both fell that I want. I just fear that Rachaad White, as much as I love him, I feel like he's not going to get a fair shake. He's going to go out there and get 3.4 yards per carry, get smashed at the line of scrimmage. They're going to try to throw the football to him. I'm so sad. It saddens me to say I'm not all in on Rachaad White, and it's not because of him. It has nothing to do with him. If he got traded tomorrow to a good situation, I'd be so happy and excited. I'm not saying he'll bust. I'm just saying I can't draft him right now around the players that he's going around.
So can I ask you, Tampa Bay situation? Oh, sorry, guys.
Yeah, go ahead, Scuba.
I was just gonna say real quick before Ron says something, and to give it over to Ron. The Tampa Bay guys, because I know that you do a lot of best ball and like redraft content. Would it be safer for someone to, because you don't know how it's gonna play out, because they are, like you said, like they are gonna be down a lot. Would it be safer to target those guys for like best ball as opposed to like redraft? Because in redraft, I mean, depending on how late they fall, you're probably gonna start like those guys. Like it's not like you're gonna depend on them until like maybe like a bye week or whatever. Whereas best ball, like you don't even have to worry about it. If those guys end up like blowing up and they end up having like a top scoring week because like the Tampa Bay is down, that maybe like you end up getting like some points in it. Like there's no like guesswork for it. Would that make sense more? What do you think about that? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I like Evans in that scenario that we painted. Maybe Godwin a little bit more than I'm thinking at the moment if I really reflect on it, but I don't know where Godwin's ADP. Let me check the rankings right now and see where he is on Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Smitty, where you can get up to $100 bonus matching your first deposit. We draft on Underdog, guys. We draft on Underdog. So make sure you're signed up and ready. You what?
I think he's below London, ahead of Evans, below London.
Yeah. So Evans is below Hollywood, right where Kadarius Toney is, which again was way below Pittman, like 7 spots or something like that below Pittman. Evans is right above Pickens, right above Dotson, and Godwin is right below Pittman. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I could take him there. I can't take Godwin or, no offense, Steven, Godwin or Pittman when guys like London are barely going off the board. And I'd just rather have Kadarius Toney than either one of them. I'd rather roll that dice. You could call it a dice roll, but I'm fine with that.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Godwin, his rookie season was, 2018? Or I think it was 2018. So it's 5 years in. He's been around a minute. So,
he's a slot receiver?
Yeah.
Because Jarvis Landry did pretty dang good for a while with Baker throwing to him. I probably watched Baker more than any of you guys. And I would check the slot, which is Godwin, because he couldn't get the ball to OBJ. I would consider he's kind of the deep threat. And then I would think Baker was pretty good at screens. So White might be good. I would have to go back, look at the stats on Baker to see how many passes went to the slot and to the running backs. Sorry, go on.
Look, I would say based on the film that we just saw though of Baker, I don't know that I would look at old. I'm being serious. Like I understand what you're saying.
I know,
but
I've seen it. I watched him on the Browns.
It looks awful, bro. It looks awful, and he's a year older. Like all that stuff's got to be considered. I wouldn't go back in time and say, did Baker do this? Look, Baker looks like he could barely make the team right now. He will, but he looks awful. He looks awful. Everybody looks awful. Everybody. Sir Isaac, can you call on about Dynasty? You can call on about anything you want, Isaac. Let's go.
Safety's there, unlike Brady last year.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
Well, the way it's looking, Brady may be playing quarterback for the Raiders here this year. Who knows?
Yeah, Brady
said he's not coming back.
Yeah, Brady made it pretty clear.
Okay.
He also have an ownership.
Too early, Ron.
Have an ownership in the team too, though.
Yeah, but you know what? For a big head like him, you know what I mean? For a guy that's done it all, what about being the only quarterback and part owner of a team to ever play for a season?
Would be something. There's a lot of moving parts for him to get back on the field as a part owner, though. How do you kind of gauge when it's best to sit tight with the team as opposed to looking for a trade in Dynasty? This is from Tristan. Is there always a move to be made? I would say that, I would always have an open door policy to a trade because you could always accept a good trade. I could trade Bijan. As much as I would never, ever want to trade Bijan, I could trade Bijan. If I closed my door and I didn't know somebody was willing to knock on my door and say, do you want Garrett Wilson and Gibbs, for Bijan, and somebody wants Bijan that bad, I would take that trade. I would take that trade. It'd be hard for me to do because I love Bijan so much, but I know I would have to use my brain. If I didn't have a quarterback and somebody's sitting on multiple quarterbacks and they can't use it, it's a 1 QB league, let's say, and they've got Burrow and Trevor Lawrence and they trade me Burrow and Gibbs. I've seen trades like that all the time. People will overpay for certain players like Bijan that they don't have in any league, and this is their only dynasty league. They want Bijan they'll give up the moon for him. So always keep an open door. But do I go looking? I mean, there's some leagues where I don't have time, but do I go shopping when I like it and I feel really, really satisfied with it? Not necessarily. I don't always go shopping all the time, but I'll definitely leave my door open. But I would say if you feel like you can win it all, if you look at your roster and you're like, that's a damn good team and I don't have any holes, I feel really good about it, you don't have to go shopping around all the time. Sometimes you get yourself in trouble.
You got to let it ride, especially for the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. Everybody panics. And I've found that, picking people up, a lot of people get dropped or whatever for no reason other than people just panic too early. You know what I mean? You got to just relax and let it ride.
I think sometimes people get their
something really, really worth moving on.
I think sometimes people get themselves in trouble because they don't know when to stop, and tinkering can you can end up trading your great team away. So if you're one of those people that ruin good situations with your team, definitely hold back and get maybe a person to bounce stuff off of, and don't circumvent that little process you set up. If you've got a buddy that will shoot you straight and tell you don't do that trade, and I mean, I have one of them. I'm right here. You could ask me a question anytime you want. I will shoot you straight and maybe make an agreement with yourself not to make a trade unless you run it by the channel, or we do a group chat question or whatever. Like don't come to me when it's already been done and you're like, should I have made that trade? You can definitely safeguard yourself. Nobody watching should make a bad trade, because you could literally come here and propose it and get an answer, especially if you super chat. It goes right to the top.
I can't wait to go to my draft party and get my team and bring it in for everybody to crucify. It's going to be a great time.
Why don't you go to your draft, Steven? Go make a great team, come back and let us celebrate it. Why you set yourself up for failure?
I'm sitting here learning. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay. Well, let's go out and crush the draft, Steven. We got this, all right? Don't come back and...
when is your draft? When's Steven's draft?
It was yesterday,
apparently. It won't be until August.
He missed it.
So you're just studying. This is all studying right now.
He auto-drafted. He missed it.
I've been studying for 10 years, you know what I mean, on this crap. I've never finished lower than third. I've just never won it.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're good.
We got you, Steve.
I'm in the running. I just, the bridesmaid, never the bride type of deal. And if you're second, you're last. And I don't like that.
You're learning from Smitty, so that's good.
Yeah.
When's your draft?
I'm learning from all you guys. You, Ron, everybody. I'm learning from the chat. I'm trying to better myself when I have an opportunity, and that's difficult.
I love Steven.
Sometimes.
When's your draft? Do we have a date set or no?
Oh, hell no. I won't know until
it's over.
The first part of August.
I start even trying to talk to anybody. They're like, it's freaking May.
All right.
I wonder how many people have just straight up auto drafted and literally won their league. Like they didn't know what they were doing. It's
Probably not many. I would say not many.
All right.
I'd say more than you think.
Anyway, not to change topics here, but let me refresh Twitter real quick, just make sure. So yeah, there's a confirmed report from NBC Sports about Rodgers being linked to the NFL gaming investigation in the fourth year of his rookie contract. A lengthy suspension could void his $3.44 million remaining, including a $2.743 guaranteed money.
$25 bet.
Rodgers has appeared in 45 games as a professional, including 10 starts, 9 of which came last season. He is currently listed as a starting corner on the team's unofficial depth chart. But let's keep in mind, guys, I really, really do believe the fact that it's being probed and we don't have, any actual determination yet. And the fact that, according to the report I had read earlier on the top of the show, that it was an associate that created an account and made $25, $30 bets. If they can't tie that money to Pittman, then this guy that he knows, unless there's some policy, and maybe there is, that your family or friends.
Not Pittman. You said Pittman. It's the other. It's the
corner.
corner.
Rodgers. Sorry, Rodgers. If there's some rule somewhere in their contract or some kind of part in their contract that says you're responsible for like people in your household that big bets or something like that. Who knows? So if this guy lives with, we don't know what's in the contract because a lot of those details come out to us later from Schefter and Rappaport. So we'll have to see what happens. But my early guess is that this probing may come back with a nothing burger, or it's going to be controversial because if his associate did this and they're trying to link him to it and they can't quite connect the dots, but they're trying to reach a little bit to connect the dots, I think people are going to be pretty upset about this situation. Because, then what are you doing? You're making determinations and that I don't think you can make. If this is not his account, it was not opened in his name, according to the report. The report could be wrong, but it was not opened in his name. I mean, maybe it was his Wi-Fi, his IP address, whatever. Who knows? Did he create it at his house?
Could have been a hacker.
I don't know. But if it's not done in his name, if it's not put in his name, how can you really, if there was no conversation being had hey, go put this money on there, and then, I don't know, what are they going to do? Go look for a $25 to win, $25, right? And they go to, his account, look for $25 deposits?
Ball mania.
We could tell this money must have come from the best ball, or from the little wager. We saw two $25 deposits come into your account. 220. You must have made 25. I just don't think a player I don't think a player in the NFL is going to bet $25 on their team winning a game. I don't see it. I think this is his buddy that had no money, his buddy mooching off him. Hope to God he didn't use his credit card. Doesn't have his buddies having these open-ended credit cards.
He just took his credit card and did it, Smitty.
Well, then you're going to hear his buddy come in and say he did that, and go ahead, I'll receive the punishment I deserve. I stole his credit card.
Somebody's going to take an ass whipping.
Then you open up a fraud report with your credit card, and you say, "Hey, this guy took my credit card. I didn't give him permission." You better get that all ironed out.
Hey, Smitty.
Hey, Smitty, your phone line's full.
AC says, Smitty, yeah, almost. Smitty, don't want to scare you, but
okay. Hey,
therapist has got you scouted pretty good. I don't know what that means.
Trying to call in. He said he can't get through, so I'm going to go ahead and hang up. And
okay.
Hey, Ron. Pittsburgh has always had a winning culture, so it's dumb to keep, to rule the Steelers out. I actually think Smitty has them winning in the North, but I understand they have a great winning culture. They're a great team. Great leadership. I do appreciate the Steelers.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see about that.
I'm gonna get off of here. Let Bruce try to get in.
Yeah, Bruce.
I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, later, Ron.
All right, later.
Yeah.
Rogers, he may have downloaded Underdog Fantasy and took that $25. Kobe Ward Smitty and got $50. So
well,
you may be linked to this investigation.
I might, but I guess my question would be, why didn't you do the $100 to get the total $100 max bonus match? Because if you yeah, Underdog will match up to $100 of your first deposit, not just $25. Don't be like Rogers. Don't be like Isaiah Rogers, who just used my code, and he only got a bonus match of $25, and he could have got $100. Maybe
if I'm going to go to jail or have to pay lawyers' fees and everything, I'm going to do it for a hell of a lot more than $25.
He's not going to jail for betting. He's just going to get suspended. Hey, this is the Bruce is on the phone. Marsman Bruce, what's up, Marsman Bruce? Or no, he's not a Mars man. I'm sorry. You're Mars man in my mind.
I'm not a Mars.
You're Mars man in my mind, Brucey. What's up?
Hey, I got a question on this 49ers quarterback. I know you did a video, but here's the thing. What if Shanahan or Lynch said flat out, look, all three of you got to compete. We're not sticking to anybody.
Who's the third one?
Sam Darnold. Look, they're not doing that. They've made it really, really clear that Brock Purdy has the locker room. The only reason Shanahan is wavered, and I can tell you this, it's not. I don't have any insider information, but I can tell you just psychologically, using the psych degree, I can tell you right now, based on Shanahan's changed verbiage, that the only reason he's backed up off the Purdy's our guy and said that, well, Trey can't earn the job back, is because he was a little fearful that maybe Trey would have to start week 1. And so he needed Trey to have confidence. Once Purdy is on track to play, we're going to start hearing more. Purdy's got the control of the locker room. Purdy's got the locker room. The players are saying Purdy's got the locker room. Trey Lance doesn't have that dog in him. And he even said, I don't want to be handed the job. I want to earn it, which you could respect in some ways. But at the same time, he's basically saying Purdy's the guy. Everybody's saying Purdy's the guy. So that's not going to happen. But if it did...
Will you cuff Trey Lance and Brock Purdy in fantasy best ball?
I mean,
if you have to draft Trey Lance.
Yes, I would, but what if Sam Darnold's the guy?
I don't think he is.
Yeah, but you don't. Why? Who cares what we think?
He's failed. He's failed in 2 places. That's like saying Baker's the guy.
No, that's not though, because the team believes in Sam over Trey. They believe in Sam over Trey.
I mean, that means, I guess Shanahan has like 23 words for a play call. Maybe it's just too hard. He can't learn the system. I mean, 23 words to call one play. It's ridiculous. But
Wild Bill
that's
says,
what Shanahan does.
Wild Bill says, do you get any benefits? Yeah, I mean, I only say it every time, Wild Bill. Here it is right here. I'll do the spiel again. Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. They'll match up to $100 on your first deposit if you use code Smitty. Choose your first deposit wisely, because if you say $10, they'll give you $10. But if you say $100, they'll match up to $100. Have to be new to Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. There you go, Wild Bill. Wild Bill's my guy. But no, look, you're arguing with the wrong person. Trey Lance should be starting over Sam Darnold. We all know that. A logical person that knows how to make quarterback decisions would know that. But Shanahan, for some reason, is not a normal person. And for some reason...
he was on Cleveland when we drafted Manziel, and they wouldn't start him. And they had a right reason not to start Manziel. I'm not saying Trey Lance is that, but, I mean, is there some red flags that we're missing here on Trey?
No, I think you have a coach that doesn't know what he's doing with personnel. Like he didn't know to go get Tom Brady and said that Jimmy G was marginally lesser. Not going after Mahomes. I mean, the track record goes on and 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 on. So, I don't, but I think he likes Sam Darnold. And you got guys like Matt Maiocco, whatever his name is, Matt Maiocco saying this number right here. That's him saying Brock Purdy will be ready for the start of the season, or will start if he's ready for the start of the season. Where's my other thing? Matt Maiocco, who is apparently the leader of the Niner beat writers. This right here. Sam Darnold Matt Mayako says Sam Darnold might be the most talented thrower in 49er history. I mean,
that could be like Brandon Weeden. Jerry Jones was like, Brandon Weeden throws the prettiest ball I've ever seen.
This is one of the dumbest things you could say, in my opinion.
It is. It does come off bad.
Absolutely be amazing if all of a sudden he wound up being a top 10 QB and took the 49ers back to the NFC Championship game.
For sure. I would root for him.
Yeah,
I just think he's done.
I agree with what Max, I've said this on Raj's live stream on Instagram. I said that if Darnold starts week 1, I will be calling for his job. And not nonstop. Like, he should be fired. If Darnold starts week 1, Shanahan should be fired. Fired. I'm not kidding.
No, you're right. It's just comical to all of us.
Sam Darnold,
you got to throw that guy in
overall.
there. Trey Lance, how many number 1 picks? Just throw him out there, for God's sake.
Yeah, they
I agree.
gave up 3 for him.
Yeah, and as Kate said, that's the lead beat writer for the Niners. The lead beat writer.
Is that a rift between the GM and the head coach?
According to my glasses here, I've got him on. That's Sam Darnold. He might be the best passer in 49er history. Oh, he didn't mean to throw it to that guy. He just threw it so badly it landed in that guy's arms. Oh, okay. Then maybe Joe Montana and Steve Young are better then. Let me go ahead and amend my statement.
That's ridiculous.
That's one of the craziest things I've ever heard in my life.
I see Danny Dennis in the chat saying, I see ghosts. Now,
yeah,
Sam
that's exactly what I was going to say.
That. Bill Belichick is so good at making rookie quarterbacks look stupid. I actually felt for the kid during that game because he didn't know where the blitz, anything was coming from. They threw the young boy in the fire. He couldn't even drink yet, by the way. He couldn't even buy a beer. And you go against the Belichick defense and he folds up and then loses his confidence. I don't know. It'd be a great comeback story.
All right. Well,
Smitty, I got 2 quick questions for you.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna wrap the show up here in a few minutes. So let me go. Who was that? Biaggia?
Yeah.
All right, Biaggia, ask your 2 questions, and I'm gonna bounce you. Go ahead.
All right, real quickly, Anthony Richardson comp, best and worst, and then I want you to flip the script on drafting Cardinals players because you're too attached. You're a Cardinal fan, so I want you to flip the script on the Cards. Okay. But best comps, Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson. I mean, we're talking about Jalen Hurts meets Cam Newton, but something in between. I don't think he's going to be as good as Jalen Hurts.
We're looking for.
Biaggia, let me speak.
Go on.
I would say it's probably a combination of the two. I don't think he'll reach Jalen Hurts' total upside ceiling because Jalen Hurts is potentially the number 1, number 2, number 3 fantasy quarterback. You could literally draft him as QB1 and you're completely fine to do that. I don't know if Richardson will climb right there. I think he climbs potentially stat-wise to the Lamar, like 5, 6, 7 territory. And I could be wrong. He could climb higher, but I'm not going to expect that, nor am I going to promote that. So there's an upside for it. Like, could he get better than I'm suggesting? Sure. And as far as Cardinal players, bro, if I had to flip the script.
Not the last guy, not Wilson, not the receiver. I want everybody else.
Not going to happen.
Finish him.
No, you can't. Then you're blinded.
Call terminated.
Flip your own script. Biaggia, I appreciate you, but I'm not going to do it. There's no reason to own a car. Maybe Biaggia, I would say James Conner could just get so much volume that somehow, some way, for a string of games, he ends up doing well. But he could get hurt, okay? He could get hurt. But I'm not banking on any Cardinal players. I'm just not. Brucey, you're live.
Hey, another quick question. I have almost all the rookie quarterbacks. Is there any single one of them I should get rid of? Like I have Richardson, I have Young, or not Young, Stroud, and I have Levis. Should I wait and say, okay, I'm going to wait to see which one's going to ball out, like give them a year, or should I start shipping one of them?
I mean, the only one I like Bryce Young and I like Anthony Richardson. The only one I feel really, really confident in would be Richardson. And I like Bryce Young, but I don't know how long it's going to take, and I don't know if it's fully going to work out. I'm excited for him, but the size concerns are becoming a little bit more. I don't want to say real, but he does look awfully small back there behind the line. I'm not gonna lie. I do like him though. So magical and amazing on the field, and his processing is legit. But I still really like him.
He's the one I didn't get. I have Stroud.
Okay. Yeah, Stroud is like, I think Stroud could become a Jared Goff, which is like, this year Goff's going to be like 6 or 7, 8, 9 quarterback value. So like, he's good. Stroud's good. But I would definitely say Richardson's the only big dog there. Levis I could care less about. I'd shop him easily. But Stroud, I'll wait for Stroud to gain value, then I'll maybe flip him. But yeah, Anthony Richardson, I let it ride.
Okay.
All right.
And
go ahead.
I thought with the 49ers, I thought they were going to have the Bill Belichick mindset, which is everyone earn your spot. Because didn't he actually do that to Brady too? He used to tell him, earn your spot. Like he just didn't hand it to him.
Yeah. All right. Hang tight real quick. Yes, Biaggia.
Yep.
We're trying to wrap up here. What can I do for you, Biaggia? Matt Biaggia, back on the line.
I want your number one underdog money exposure later.
All right, later, Biaggia. Number one on money. We went over these earlier, and by the end of these 4 or 5 drafts, it will be Joe Burrow. Charbonnet is a close second. Kamara is up there for sure, close third. Swift is climbing, but still like at 7 or 8. Olave, I think, is 4 or 5. Watson's 5 or 6. Those are my exposures. Goff wide receiver course scares me, as it should. Fantasy Dad, appreciate you. All right, Bruce. Final 10 seconds. Go.
I just want to say thank you, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, Bruce. I probably won't be live tonight unless news breaks, but I will definitely be live.
I meant tomorrow.
Yeah. No. I'm just letting you know. So if I go live, I'll hopefully see you later. If I don't, I'll see you tomorrow. Probably definitely before the 7 p.m. show, we'll be doing some premieres and things like that for tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow, pal.
Okay. Thank you.
Later. Scuba, final 10 seconds. Go.
Hey, Smitty. So I've been seeing that it seems like a lot of the fantasy football analysts have, like you, and they're actually buying into Bijan Robinson. So I want to ask you, come September, getting into like when everybody does like a lot of people do like their drafts, like probably about like the second or third week of that preseason or whatever. What do you think final rankings of pre-draft rankings? What do you think Bijan Robinson's going to be? Like how far up do you think he's going to be? Because right now I see him go as up as like 4, and like the top 3 right now. I guess it's been all over the place because first it was Justin Jefferson, but now it's McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, I think Saquon Barkley, and then I think it's Bijan for like PPR. So do you think he's going to go all the way up to like 2? Like, do you think he's going to pass those guys? Like,
well, I think the world's catching up to us. I think we got made fun of when we took him in round 1, when people were taking him at 14, 15, 16. All right, you're going to take him in round 1, and we just brushed it off. And then when we started to say, and I remember I came out with a video that he's in my top 6, I knew I was going to take heat for it. I took heat for it, not in my community necessarily, but we took heat for it. Mainly in our community, the reason people got mad is because we knew that it was going to shove him up to number 6 overall in our drafts. But I'm going to have a video coming out tonight or tomorrow that will probably be talking, may or may not be talking about him as number 1 overall. And I think the fantasy community will catch up, and you'll start seeing people act like they're talking bold about it, saying, "Oh, I'd take him number 1." I know that's bold. And I'm gonna surprise you, Bob, on the podcast, and Steve's gonna go, "Where do you have Bijan?" He's gonna go, "I actually have him number 1 as the number 1 running back above Christian McCaffrey," and everybody's gonna clap and they're gonna sing "Kumbaya" and act like they invented it. But you know darn well the boldest person on the planet in terms of content creation is sitting right here in this chair. And Bijan's been the number one running back for me, and I'm going to put a video out talking about, why you might have, and I've already kind of done this, the video already did this before, but why you might go Chase or JJ if you're in some wide receiver heavy league and lineup requirement, and why you might go Bijan, but why you're going to go Bijan over CMC. So that video is coming. But I think he's going to go number one overall periodically. I think he's going to go as the number one running back about 40 to 50% of the time. So number 3 overall. And then the other percentage of the time, people will be like, I'm taking CMC. I'm not taking a guy that's unproven yet. And then we're going to get the people that talk about freaking Ritter and how it's the Atlanta Falcons. I can't take a guy in the Falcons. Well, you know what? Hold our beer. The Bijan stock is rising.
Stock on the rise.
And it's not going anywhere, pal. It's not going anywhere.
Well, because I remember, like I told you early, this is like way back. I mean, I know this was probably about weeks ago. It's probably sometime last month. I did say because I do have the 4th overall pick when it comes to draft. If he's there at 4, I'm taking him. So
yeah,
I'll be fine with that. Especially since how everybody's saying that he's going to be the generational talent at running back. I definitely want that guy. And to your point, I'm sure you're going to do the video tomorrow. So I know you're talking about the 49ers medical staff. I wouldn't trust the 49ers medical staff to handle Christian McCaffrey, a guy that was pretty much already brittle with Carolina. I mean, I know he had a couple of seasons where he was playing and stuff, but I wouldn't trust Kyle Shanahan trying to manage TMC. So I would definitely do that too. I'd definitely take Bijan. But that's all I got, man.
All right.
Sorry if I took a little bit over the 10 seconds.
That was a long 10 seconds, Scuba. All right, appreciate you, pal. Later. Bama, final 10 seconds, then I'm going to go to Purdue, who's a Mars man, so he's going to get as much time as he needs. But Bama, go ahead.
All right, I got 4 names for you. The last pick of your Underdog Fantasy draft, who you got? Justin Ross, McCole Hardman, Robert Woods, or Nathaniel Dell?
Nathaniel Dell, and I'm taking him rounds before that just to be safe. I'm taking him at
really?
16. I'm taking him at 16 just to be safe. But, yeah, Tank Dell. Give me Nathaniel Tank Dell all day long. Secret weapon wide receiver 3 in fantasy. And he's the only one you're listing that's on the Moon Man list. So you knew my answer before I said it. He is a Moon Man. He's a Moon Man.
Hey, one more quick question. How do I get on the Uranus? I missed out on the Moon Man and the Mars Man.
How do I get on Uranus? I'm going to have a discussion with my Mars Men and Moon Men card holders because I told them I would not have another card, but we've had such a crazy amount of people wanting to get in. The thinking is that if I do create one more card and I get the approval from my Mars Men, I'll ask Purdue on the phone right now and get his vote. But I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with it because I don't think we're devaluing the experience of the card to add one more card. But the card would be basically the alternate group. You probably get picked on a little bit. You'd be the Uranus group. But the winner of that league, if for any reason somebody left the Moon Men or Mars Men leagues, if anybody left the Mars Men league, we would pull the second place. Let's say whoever wins the Mars Man league climbs into the Moon Man league climbs into the Mars Man league. The person that loses the Moon Man league the Mars Man league climbs into the Moon Man league. The Uranus group would have nothing to do with those leagues. Essentially, you'd always play in your group of 12. But if you won the league and there was an opening, aside from the movement of those two, that doesn't count. If somebody left, and believe it or not, people quit fantasy. You never know. Somebody just say, I don't want to do it anymore. So maybe I don't have time for it. You'd be surprised. I do leagues with people, and one person quits a year in a league that I'm in. It happens all the time. We would pull from the Uranus group. So let me
have a great night.
Let me discuss it with them. We'll go for it. But Tank Dell, bro. All right, appreciate you. Purdue, what are your thoughts on that? Would you have a problem if it didn't impede upon your spot? You never get bumped into the planet Uranus league or anything, but these people would be sitting there. Hopefully, they would be able to grab a spot if there was an opening and someone left.
And I think it's a big galaxy, Smitty. I think you know what you're doing. So yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think it would work, and it would not. You'd have no risk of dropping into that league if you're a Moon Man. But just having a group of people that were there, and the winner. And so the thing is, if you won the Uranus group league, Planet Uranus, and you won that league, and there's no opening, you don't get anything for it. You just get to play in this really high level league, and we'll live stream the draft. We'll live stream the draft. So if you want to be in a high level draft, we'll live stream it. We'll see who wins it. And then if the next year somebody bails, the person that wins that year gets it. So it's not like you gain any sort of like, well, I won it the year prior. Doesn't matter if there's not an opening. You just stay where you are. But yeah, we might open up that. That would be kind of fun to have this like little league that is kind of like the minors for the Moon Men and Mars Men. All right. Anything else, Purdue, you want to talk about before I jump?
Yeah, I just got to chime in on that 49ers quarterback situation. I don't know who it was. Was it the GM that said that Darnold throws like the best ball of any quarterback, 49ers quarterback? Is that what he's something like that?
No, it was Matt Mayoko.
Someone else. Yeah, and it's one of those things that, someone can throw a good ball. They could throw a nice spiral. It doesn't make them a good quarterback. So I don't read too much into that. It's one of those.
No, but this comment's the most talented thrower. Like I don't think like that isn't just a spiral. Like that would be one. Like you could throw the best spiral in the world and not even be in the NFL. You could say I throw the tightest spiral in the world. This is the most talented thrower. Look at this comment right here. So this is Matt Mayoko, the lead beat writer for the San Francisco 49ers, practically the leader of the fan base. They love this guy. NBC Sports, Matt Mayoko believes Sam Darnold might be the most talented thrower in 49er history. That's a bold, crazy, weird, ridiculous statement. But I get what you're saying, but it definitely was not made, to be like a certain part of the throw or the spiral. It's like most talented thrower.
Mm-hmm.
Like really? Like
yeah,
does he not know who played for the Niners? It's crazy.
The other thing, and I got to say about Trey Lance, I've been a skeptic for basically since he was drafted. So I mean, I think it's one of those situations where the guy just doesn't translate. I don't know if that's really what we're dealing with here. And, he's like a Ryan Leaf or a Jamarcus Russell or something like that, where it's just like they invested high, took a gamble, and, burned him.
Yeah, but the problem is he hasn't been given a shot. Like, that's the problem that sucks. Is like they run him like a fullback. He gets hurt in week 2. Like in the very beginning of the game, too. Week 1 was a mud bowl. Nobody was doing well from the quarterback perspective. The game prior to that, he won a playoff implication game against the Houston Texans and looked great. So like the only game you could even look at that was a start was that Houston Texans game, I think in week 16 or 17. He won that game. The Niners made the playoffs because of it, essentially. And then he looked phenomenal, and then Shanahan pulled him out. And then that ruined his development. And we said in our Niners shows that we did that once you put him in, you cannot take him out. You could ruin a quarterback's momentum and confidence if you start them and remove them. And what does Shanahan do? I blame Shanahan 100%. I don't blame Trey Lance. I blame Kyle Shanahan. He started him. He won, and then he pulled him from the lineup. And that almost ruined Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts came out in his first game, played phenomenal. I believe he threw 3 or 4 touchdowns and 300 or 400 yards. Second game, I think it was like 345 and 3 or something like that. It was crazy. Third game, benched. This is old staff. Benched. Unbelievable. You bench him. After two amazing starts, he has one bad game, bench him at halftime. Hurts escaped it all. But Hurts was even dealing with that from Sirianni, who we say is such a great coach, and he is in a lot of ways. But you could almost compare Sirianni and Shanahan in some ways to say that there's some things about what they do that thank God Sirianni didn't get his way when he tried to trade for Russell Wilson last offseason before the season began. And we knew Jalen Hurts was going to do what Jalen Hurts did. Apparently, Sirianni questioned it because he tried to get Russell Wilson. So, I don't know. I think Trey Lance has been ruined, and I don't know that he's ever going to bounce back, unfortunately. And this is coming from a guy that really believed in him, bro. I loved him.
I don't know though. If you're that good, I don't think you're just going to get ruined because you get pulled. I think you deal with adversity as a professional player, and you look at Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, and here he is. He's basically got unquestioned faith from the management there, and he's going to be the starter as soon as he's ready to play. I think he beat them. He just straight up beat Lance in practice. I think he proved it to them, and that's why he's got the faith and confidence, right? And whatever's going on in practice, we have no real say or no visibility.
Well, nobody beat anybody in practice though because Purdy came in off an injury. Purdy and Trey have never competed before together, so Purdy's been healing and he's starting to get to a point where he's he's still rehabbing. So he's not. They've never even competed. Trey had the job, and then Trey got injured in the very beginning of the year, and Trey can't even get a nod over Sam Darnold, who's incoming. You don't even know what Sam Darnold's going to really do yet, but Sam Darnold's track record overrode everything Trey Lance brought to the table. I get what you're saying, and part of me says if he can't beat out Sam Darnold, he doesn't deserve a start. And I'm also telling you, I think Trey Lance has maybe been ruined. And so I don't even know if Trey Lance can actually beat him out at this point, like Purdy. I don't think he could beat Purdy out at this point. Purdy's got the locker room. I agree with you. Purdy's got all that. I don't think but Trey Lance never played with Christian McCaffrey. Like if Trey Lance had Christian McCaffrey and didn't get hurt, I guarantee you we'd be looking at Trey Lance from a whole different light. Because if you took CMC off this roster and reinserted Brock Purdy back into the lineup, you're going to see a different Brock Purdy too. So, but part that frustrates me is that Trey never even got a shot to play with the same weapons. Brock Purdy got handed Christian McCaffrey, and everything was glorious. I just wish Trey could have started some games with CMC. Then we would have known what Trey really was. But I understand what you're saying, and there's some arguments to that. Appreciate who dropped this right here. This was Bama dropped 10 gifted memberships. Bama to the moon.
To the moon.
Appreciate Bama. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Purdue.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, good call. They never really truly competed in practice, but the coaches and staff, they see how one guy handles things in practice and they see how another guy handles it. And I think it's like when they do the interviews or whatever for the draft. You just kind of. Mm-hmm. You get a vibe from a guy, and I think they got that vibe from Purdy. I mean, at the time when they drafted Lance, they believed in him, but how do you spend that capital and not, like you say, not at least give him a chance? So I don't know. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Hey,
thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Purdue, appreciate you, Purdue. Purdue is a Mars man extraordinaire. Appreciate you, man. And call in tomorrow. And look for that Bijan video tomorrow. Appreciate you. Okay. We're out of here. Can't thank Bama enough for dropping this wad on screen, gifting memberships out like it's candy. Rockout says Sam Darnold is Bo Callahan. He sees ghosts. That's amazing. Nobody went to Sam Darnold's birthday party, just like Bo Callahan. Nobody went to Bo Callahan's birthday party. Nobody went to Sam Darnold's retirement party. Nobody. Smitty, bring in the Uranus group. Appreciate you. Terry Roberts, we might bring in a Uranus group. Maybe we even do some sort of 96 team Uranus bash. Pause. That where Planet Uranus bash, where you have 96 of you competing for the top spot, and the winner each year gets to go be the replacement of anybody that drops out of the Moon Man and Mars Man. That's what we might want to do. Instead of a card, it might be a 96 team bash. You each draft 3 players, some kind of crazy, 8 copies of every player. I think that might be better. Get a whole bunch of people involved. That might be the way to go. Let's take a deeper look into that. Appreciate you all. Planet Uranus to the moon. Planet Uranus. A planet Uranus bash for the ages. It's such a play on words. You can't. Whenever you speak about it, the card it's gonna create controversy. Who's bashing what? Who's bashing what? Planet what?
And off he goes to the planet known as Uranus.
By the way, there are rings around Uranus. I don't know if anybody ever had joked around about that question, in science class or astronomy. Hey, are there rings around Uranus? And the teacher would always say, haha, funny. They actually, I believe, found rings around Uranus. There are rings around Uranus. There are rings around Pluto. There are multiple planets that now have rings around the planet. And that's an interesting fact that you just learned here on the show. Appreciate you. See you all probably not tonight unless there's breaking news, but I'll go live if there's breaking news. But I'll see you all tomorrow. Yeah, and the winner will be King of Uranus. In charge of planet Uranus. Uranus season. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Drake London, and Christian Watson. This is the Quad Squad, the Burn Unit, the Wolf Pack, the Four Amigos. I give you the four best friends that anybody could have.
The Four Horsemen. Drafting Chase in round 1. Hall in 2. Burrow in 3. London in 4. Try Gibbs in 3. Burrow in 4. Wilson in 2. No problem. Combinations of these monsters will give your league mates nightmares, especially Bijan 1, Olave 2, Burrow 3, and Gibbs 4. Don't lie. You just made an oopsie in your pants, didn't you? Ride for horses at the same time. The Four Horsemen.
I like that idea. Hod Prime says 1 Uranus player for each of the 27 moons. Do they have 20? I think it is 27 moons, right? If so, that makes sense. 27 Uranus cards will be made. Or maybe the winner gets a card. I don't know. I'm making 27 cards. The winner gets a card. The winner gets put on planet Uranus. The winner will get put on this.
And off he goes to the planet known as Uranus.
Planet Uranus, the winner will be put on here for the life of this animation, and they get a card, and they'll be the alternate to join. All right, everybody, I'll see you later. Appreciate you.